Hello everyone. On April 8th, there's going to be a total solar eclipse. It won't be visible from Europe, but it still is going to be quite an important and fascinating solar eclipse, especially for the United States. I'm going to show you why. Let's take a look at the chart without actually going into too much detail. I prepared a PowerPoint for you. So you can actually take a look at the slides separately if you wish to. So this is it. And let me close the designer. Why is it? I have no idea. Anyhow, this is it. So it will be exact at 1921. So a little bit after 7:30 London time on the 8th of April. And this is Sarah's series number 8 North. I'm sure if you are interested in eclipses, that you are aware that eclipses are the only astronomical and astrological phenomenon which is not, it's not continuous. It actually has a beginning and an end. These eclipses repeated themselves every 18 years with almost the same energy pattern. Actually, Bernard Brady has a wonderful book, The Eagle and the Lark, which I'm going to quote from in a minute. And she explains, and actually not just the book, but she has a number of articles out there as well, where she explains how even the Chaldeans in Mesopotamia knew about these series and watched them carefully. What happens during a solar eclipse? First of all, it is during a new moon when the sun and the moon are joining, and this was called in ancient times hieros gamos, sacred marriage, when the sun and the moon, feminine and the masculine, the nighttime and the daytime luminaries joined and united. But at the same time, not all new moons are solar eclipses as well, because when you look at the astrological chart, a new moon is always at the same degree, astrological degree, but that's a longitude. But since there's a globe around us, so a sphere, so to speak, it's not a circle, but a sphere. In order for one to be really next to the other or jointly, you need to be on the same declinational level as well. So an eclipse occurs when there is not just a conjunction in the longitude, but also a conjunction in the declination. We are going to look at it as well. So that is when what happens is you have the disk of you have the solar disk, and the lunar disk is simply going across it and blocking it, effectively blocking the sun's rays. And and it's a total solar eclipse, there's going to be darkness. But if you consider that the sun is your ego consciousness and the moon is your spiritual essence, you're also your emotions, your subconscious, then this is what happens. The subconscious is blocking out the consciousness, really, just for a couple of minutes, but still. So that is why when emotions govern us, it's never a good period. We are making bad mistakes and sometimes bad decisions. But the ancients didn't really fear solar eclipses because of that alone, although I think that was also an important factor. But they feared because it reminded them in the collective unconscious, the cataclysm, when everything was darkened and everything fell apart. That is when Atlantis got demolished. And that's why they never actually liked solar eclipses. And they had all kinds of practices what to do during a solar eclipse. For instance, the king was taken out of the palace. He and his family were hidden somewhere. Another substitute king was entered into the palace, and then later on, when the eclipse passed, he was just killed. Okay. So this is the total eclipse, which we won't be able to see. So let's take a look at the Saros series, number 8 North. And the start day for that one, that particular solar eclipse was on 1501, May 17th, And here are the placements for that particular chart. We are not going to look at this chart, but this is from Bernard Brady's The Eagle and the Lark. And I took it from, I just copied it for you to see. So this is what she says about this particular eclipse family. Inventiveness and flashes of genius are the hallmark of this Saros series. The individual will have intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, visions, or vivid dreams. This is because of the Uranus, because the new moon is on the Uranus. This newfound inspiration will pull the person away from his or her social life or relationship, thereby causing strain in the private life. This is the time, so we are now in this time, when the person needs to be free, if only for a few weeks. Well, this is exactly what we need. We need to be free. The powers that be are constantly trying to push us into a corner and taking away our personal freedom, freedom of speech, all kinds of freedom of using cash, all kinds of other freedoms. This is exactly what's happening if you take a look at it. Here's the eclipse path. It will be the totality will be about 120 miles wide. It affects 500 American cities, 13 American states, and the duration is 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Why is this important? Because according to astrological lore, solar eclipses will be in effect as many years as there are minutes. So this will be in effect for 4.5 years. So if you calculate it, there will be at least one, but obviously maybe even two American presidential race included in this. Now, so this is the pathway. So this is where the exactness is going to occur. But here's another, this I took from NASA. And this was the path of the total solar eclipse way back on August 21st, 2017, 7 years ago. And as you can see, it crossed from another portion of the US. It was actually probably even wider. But here comes the interesting part. If you take the two eclipse paths, then you see that this is a crossroads. And it's actually, it crosses somewhere here around Memphis, St. Louis, Kansas City, this area, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, somewhere here. So this is the point where both eclipses are total, or were and will be total, really. So this X is quite revealing, I think. To me, it is at least it carries a lot of interesting connotations. So okay, this I took from the Hungarian version, but anyhow, you won't need to actually see this. Actually, sorry about that. I had again very little time. I'm doing a full day seminar on Friday, and I teach both days on Saturday and Sunday, and it was Easter Monday with family, so it's a little bit squashed as usual, even more than usual. So here's the eclipse. Let me get rid of this. Okay, maybe I will do that. So what is interesting in this particular eclipse, that it is exactly to the minute on Chiron, 19 degrees 24 Aries. And as one of my colleagues, and this is what you saw in Hungarian, one of my colleagues mentioned that this is like a laser point. Chiron, of course, is the sum total of our karmic wounds. It's the wounded healer archetype. I'm sure you are familiar with the Chiron mythology. If not, go ahead and take a look. There are a number of articles and all kinds of books out there as well. In karmic astrology, Chiron is describing our karmic wounds in like a metaphor, where you got it and how you got it. Interestingly enough, Chiron takes 12 years in Aries, and it's the longest period in its among the signs. And of course, if you take a look at Aries, war, aggression, violence, fire, all kinds of terrible things are linked to Aries. Of course, that's why the most energy we can get from Chiron is in Aries, actually. And this particular new moon solar eclipse is on Chiron simply highlighting the enormity of what the world leaders are trying to do to us. They are trying to push us into the Third World War. Here in Europe, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I don't know what is the war energy about back in the United States. I have a hunch that since about 70% of Americans are very much against the war, I'm just hoping that they will have a little bit more sense. Like here, it's terrible. Okay, so here are the longitude positions, and as you can see, the declinations are also very close. So actually, the sun moon is on Chiron. So there's a Chiron eclipse, really, if you take a look at this. Okay, here's the chart for London. As I said, at 7:21 p.m. And as you can see, Libra is rising with the south node, and the Chiron moon and sun conjunction is on the seventh house, not exactly conjunct the descendant, because the north node is on the descendant. And the north node in Aries, as I said many times, describes the need to learn how to fight for ourselves and for each other. So how we have to come up with new ideas, Aries, also ideas that will support us and save us. And yes, sometimes it means also that we need to learn to fight. And the Sun Moon Chiron is just 5 degrees, 4 degrees away from the descendant. And in the space-time moment, as you can see, retrograde Mercury has reached Aries again. Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. Retrograde Mercury could mean misunderstandings and all kinds of other stuff. But I also think that it gives us the moment of reflection that we should look inside and try to find answers within and not without. And maybe, just maybe, these idiots who are leading Europe are realizing the enormity of their speech, their words, that they are trying to really trigger the Third World War. And mark my words, I mean, if there's a Third World War, it's going to be an atomic war, and no one will actually survive it. So it's the stupidest idea. There is a blocking Saturn-Mars conjunction. So Mars is coming up to exactness, and then later on it will move away. But at the moment, Saturn is blocking Mars, which in a way is good, because it actually kind of subdues this war energy that is flying around. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is within 2-3 degrees already, so it's going to be exact on the 20th or 21st. Ceres is on the IC, so your home and your family is going to be important in the upcoming days and years, actually, because, as I said, this eclipse will be in effect for 4.5 years. And the ladies are also quite strong still. Juno and Trans-Pluto are traveling backwards. Trans-Pluto is both dimension jump, channeling, and also another First Lady energy, because she is Persephone, the wife of Pluto, so the lady of the underworld. And of course, Juno is the First Lady. And two very independent archetypes, Lilith, revolt against injustice, and Persephone, the wise girl, the goddess of wisdom. So those are the highlights of the London chart. There is a complex planetary picture around 20 degrees, 18 to 20 degrees, so the degree where the solar eclipse occurs. First of all, the London chart has the midheaven and the IC at this degree, so it is included. And so is dark moon and black moon. Dark moon is the acceptance of the curse in the Lilith myth, and black moon is clairvoyance and the willingness to go back into the Garden of Eden and do what is necessary. So it means determinedness, committedness, and also courage and knowledge together. And if you can see, there is a beautiful. Actually, it is an Earth water kite with midheaven and the IC. So it's the IC, Jupiter, Uranus, and the black moon. But there's also a platform. This is a platform between Sun Moon Chiron and Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, that is the base. This is a mono directional quincunx, so it sometimes works as a trine and sometimes as a square. You can't even actually make it happen. You can't predict how it will work, but of course we have to make the most of it. And the top of the platform is a square. It's a fixed square. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, I'm going to look at it when it is exact, but it is really a beautiful conjunction when you have it in your personal chart. It occurs every 12, 13 years, and it gives you ingeniousness. The problem with mundane charts is that Jupiter gives it boosts everything. It touches it, it enlarges and blows up. And Uranus, of course, is chaos. So Jupiter-Uranus this year might actually blow up the programmed chaos. And the problem here is that this is a fixed square, so it's fixity, it's rigidity. And the curse, okay, Lilith, dark moon Lilith, somehow the way I interpreted this was that, okay, I'm going to really cry my war cry. I don't care for the consequences, and I'm going to enlarge chaos. So we are going to be plunged into even more chaos. That's what I'm afraid of. There's also a cardinal fire engine involving the Sun, Moon, Chiron, the IC, and Lilith. So this gives us a drive and the potential. It actually gives us the potential to here it is actually it is with the dark moon, not the black moon. Dark moon, Sun, Moon, Chiron, and IC. Here it is. And fire is the element of transformation, and cardinals are pushing things into motion. And there's also, if you take a look, there are all kinds of other things that you can actually include. There's a little engine as well with Black Moon, Sun, Moon, Chiron, and the midheaven. And this is also a cardinal little engine. So here, instead of the trine, you have a sextile. So it gives you potentials. And again, the drive is there because the cardinal is there. Yes, there is the MCIC, Sun, Moon, Chiron, T square. This is a cardinal T square, so it gives, again, another push. And there's a tiny angel wing, only in the London chart, with midheaven and the two Liliths, with dark moon at its apex. So the curse is definitely there. Okay, let's take a look at the transcendental celestial objects for this complex planetary picture. We don't have that many, so it's quite interesting that the energy is tense in itself, but also very healing if we are able to utilize it for healing properties, because that would be the task. So on the Sun, Moon, Chiron, there's nothing else. On Jupiter, you have Dionysus, altered states of consciousness. On Uranus, you have Panacea, or universal healing. That's beautiful. And Shiva with W, she's the Slavonic love goddess, love and war goddess, both. And on dark moon, you have nothing else. And on the black moon, you have Sophia, wisdom. And Teros. Teros is a centaur who is hunting bears, but he doesn't kill them, but he drags them into his cave and tries to tame them, tries to sophisticate them. So it's the taming of your unconscious, the taming of the instinctual level, which is now necessary in order to gain double wisdom, because Parasathena energy has the Sophia and Parasitina are not exactly the same. Sophia is a much deeper and much more ancient energy, and Black Moon Lilith is the goddess energy. So they are united at this space-time moment. And in the London chart, there's a non-closing cardinal ground cross. Why is it non-closing? Because Ceres is at about 17 degrees, while Astrea is about 13 degrees. So I put it here because it's still a ground cross. It's a cardinal ground cross. So actually the squares are there. It's not really closing to a cardinal ground cross, but the cardinal squares are there. So it's really the ascendant, descendant, and Astrea, which is the karma breaker, the destiny changer, and Ceres, which is our family, our roots, with on the IC, especially our homeland. This is what we need to save now. And here, what's interesting is the two fixed stars. On Austria, you have the asteroid Hannibal, who was a general who was able to cross the Alps. So it was and look it up in history, it's important. On the north node, you have Aesculapia, another healing energy. Aesculapia is the cave where Asclepius and his disciples were healing. And Alpheratz is the second healing world for suicide victims. And now the reckless leaders of the world are really in a suicide energy. They are I mean, I don't understand why they are so stupid. But Alpheratz is where the soul needs to learn to move freely once more. And then Rukbat, Alpha Sagittarius, is the foot of the celestial archer, where it takes its stand in order to shoot out the arrow. And Rukbat denotes steadiness and strength, according to Bernadette Brady. So that's it. That's the solar eclipse. This is eclipse effectively closes this year's first eclipse season. The next one will be in autumn, and we are, of course, going to look at it. This particular one should be about healing, but there's so much war energy as well that I really don't know how we are going to utilize it. On the personal level, you can utilize it for healing all kinds of wounds, especially related to the Aries energy, so fights and war and violence and things like that. Happy solar eclipse. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.